How did you start finding the merchants that you wanted to bring onto the platform? What was that process like?
Kind of two different processes, but initially when Carrie, my co-founder, and I started this, like literally from our garage with no team and trying to figure out if we're going to want to pop up on top of all these mega retailers, we need scale rather than even worrying about revenue. We
Right.
need scale. We need to show them opportunity and product. And it doesn't necessarily need to be 100,000 businesses like it is, but it needed scale. And so we built a series of proprietary tools that essentially I went through the data sources. I pulled down like third-party data sources of like all the Shopify brands in the world, essentially, then culled them into this country and then culled them into our revenue map, which is essentially under 50 million in gross revenue, which is another third-party data source. But ultimately, we figured out a way to identify business values according to e-com experience. So we're not going to show you stores that don't have a novel e-commerce experience, right? Occasionally, if you're looking for a very specific like light bulb or something, you'll find one of our long tail stores, as we call them, that's maybe like less of a wonderful experience. But for the most part, because of the way we organize search, because of how we've worked on our initial scraping tools, and because of how we onboard small businesses, we prioritize the ones that have a human full experience where you feel like there's tension and brand, and the site feels like something special and curated. But in addition to that, it is like a fully functioning site that knows what they're doing, where you're not going to have a bad experience and we know they're legitimate. And there's a million data sources, including our own, that we've used to identify that. Some social listening, some like Alexa ranking, all sorts of stuff like that to sort of aggregate and curate where people fall into search results.
So they didn't necessarily need to opt in. It was more you're handling that curation process basically for them and then exposing them to shoppers who were on the mega retailers.
Yeah, ultimately, like, I don't want to dumb down at all what we do, but I think my personal feeling and our thesis here is that whether it's e-commerce or content, whatever world we're in, we are sort of on the end of what I like to view as the sort of like overload of information age, right? We had all this information at our disposal, but what's happening is that people are running into decision fatigue. We're ending in this place where, yeah, you could try and remember every small business you found and save it and screenshot it, put it on Instagram and try to figure out which piece of content you want to watch every night. But you end up spending 12 hours to find a coffee table and then you don't buy a coffee table, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens to all of us. And so our thesis is those that aggregate win. And so if you can cleanly aggregate and remove decisions for people, right? Show them the best 10 small business furniture brands. They will choose to buy it, especially if it aligns with their values and you've aggregated it for them. And so for us, both on the SMB side and the consumer side, it's about centralizing these small businesses, making searching them easy, saving them easy, aggregating them in one place easy, so that we're not just constantly waiting for Instagram to like serve us the ad for what we need. Like that's sort of the space that I think people are in right now. So aggregation is central to our business, and
Yeah.
bringing the small businesses into one place, building community off of that, both with consumers and the businesses themselves.